when should the preparation for marriage start? Because many people, you'd ask them, wanakuambia, I'm single, I'm not searching, hata hiyo maneno ya ndoa sifikiri sahi, it's not my priority. Then inafika age fulani ama time fulani, you know, that season where now you're feeling you're under pressure and it has to happen now. Could that be one reason why probably the dating or taking time to court someone is suddenly becoming a luxury?
The question then would be, when does the preparation for your career begin?
Okay, when does it start? When do we start preparing for marriage?
Do you realize that we prepare for our careers from a very young age?
Yeah.
At age 3, children are going to school because you're already projecting on the future. And because of that, you will be very intentional about the kind of school you want them to go to. You'll be very intentional about the kind of teachers you want them to have, the environment, people who will even take care of them in the house. There are people who are so specific even about the house managers because they want the house manager to be able to communicate with the child in a certain way, to help even when the child has some work to be done. So they don't want probably a house manager who will just shout, scream, insult, because they're trying to build a certain culture around this child because they're projecting on what this person should be in the future. And yet, the thing you may stay in the longest in your life may be marriage, and people want to start preparing for it a month too.
After they've settled, after they've done everything, I may invest. Like people wait for that time, wacha ni invest, wacha ni jenge, wacha ni ndio sasa ni prepare for ndoa.
For a greater degree, to a greater degree rather, women are prepared better. For that. The conversations, all those annoying conversations you have with your aunties, prepare you. At least they bring in the consciousness of the fact that one day you may be in a marriage setup. And this begins to put a certain level of demand. It may sound very resentful, but you see, you'll be thinking, like now Kitty is thinking, I can't do chapatis. She's already put her disclaimer out there to everybody. I can't do chapatis. But it's because some expectations have been put out there that are very clear.
Yeah.
That the girl grows up knowing, if I'm going to be in a marriage, this and this will be expected of me.
Yeah.
And so she begins to make her decision based on that and thinking, do I want to cook for somebody? Do I want to be waking up, washing their clothes? Do I want to be doing this?
Yeah.
But at least at the back of their head, they know that there's something called marriage that will come and will come with certain responsibilities that they are expected to fulfill. On the other hand, this is not a conversation that we normally have with boys. It's not a conversation because the boys will just get up, go out, play football, do this, have their rally cars, go and fight, come back, and they keep on growing until they get to an age of 25. Then people sit them down and say, you know, now you're grown, you need somebody. There's somebody that they need has had a mental, psychological preparation of a certain season in their life. But this boy just feels he needs somebody to come in. He has no clue. He has no vision. He has no plan. He has nothing. In fact, he believes the reason he needs this other person is so that the person comes and figures out everything for him because he's helpless and clueless. In fact, in most African settings, they will say, you know, now you need somebody to cook for you. You need somebody who will raise your kids.
Cannot be washing your shirts alone.
You can't do that.
If I own a floor at your age, you need somebody.
So in his mind, that's all he's getting into. He's getting somebody who is coming to take care of him and take care of a home. And he's doing this for status. So it's not something that he has really prepared for because you can't show up anywhere now. You don't have a wife, you're 30, you're 35, you'll be told you can't talk where men are speaking and all those kind of things. So even when he's getting into it, number one, lack of preparation. Number two, he's getting into it for the very wrong reasons because he thinks it is for status. So if he gets into it, this is why the man will get his family and then go and hang out there because this was supposed to enhance his status. In the past, men would leave their families and then go and sit with other men and then they would be drinking the African beer. And the more, the bigger your family, the more the respect
that you get.
So that kind of thing, using family as a status symbol, is still there with us. So when should we begin preparing? We should begin preparing as early as possible. And it doesn't even have to start with when you get married. No, it begins by preparing the person to be able to live with people, to be respectful, to be somebody who has self-discipline, self-motivation, self-drive, because most of the things, again, that come in to mess up marriage have got to do with self. So you'll hear somebody say, my husband or my wife is not self-driven. They just stay at home. No matter what I do, I've tried to open a business for her, or I borrowed money for him to do something, he does nothing. All of these things come from how the person relates with themselves. Can they lead themselves? Can they trust themselves? Do they respect themselves? Do they take care of themselves?
That is before even you were in the picture. Could they do all that before you came in the picture?
Yes.
Yeah.
And even for me, if I want to get married, I have to ask myself all of these things. Because what am I bringing to the table?
Yeah.
I'm bringing me. But this product that I'm bringing to the table, is it a product that somebody would want to have? Is it something that once they unpack, they would want to keep, or will they take it back? Is it those kind of things that somebody would say, it looked very nice online, but when it was delivered, this is not what I ordered for.
What I got, yeah.
So knowing very well that, you see, one day I am going to be this, I want to be a husband, I want to be a father, I've got to begin making certain decisions. What does it take to be a man? Anywhere. What does it take to be a woman? Anywhere. Before I even bring myself into the role of being somebody's husband. Because eventually I will nearly become the same person in that space that I am with myself and that I am with other people. But in terms of preparing for the wedding, you begin preparing when you're certain that the person that you are with, to a certain degree, because you'll never be 100% sure. But when your basics are ticked in the box, the fundamentals are ticked, then you can begin talking about the next step.
All right.
So don't even rush the courtship.
All right.
Forget about all this online pressure of, you're dating for 4 years, are you taking a degree? You were going to be living with this person for 40 years.
Yeah.
When you think about...
But 4 years, seriously?
Let me tell you, Sophie, let me tell you. People who date, some people will get it right at 7 months.
Yeah.
Some people, based on various circumstances, would get it right even at 7 years. Because let's say these people met when they were in campus, 20 years. Are they settled enough to get married at 23?
No.
So if you put those timelines on them, and does it mean that they're not good for each other because they met at 20? Sometimes they need to prepare with other things, get jobs, settle in a bit, and that will make them then get to 27.
Yeah.
So you'll be looking at the 7 years, but what was happening within these 7 years?
Yeah, they were working on themselves.
On themselves. It was not somebody wasting somebody's time.
Yeah.
It's different when somebody has the capacity to bring you in, but they're taking you around. But where, you met at 19, it is possible that there are people who met at 19. You're not getting married probably till 25. That would be 6 years. So these artificial timelines should also be removed. Like, don't rush. I wanted to say this. When you're saying I do, the way you're given forms, and let me use the banks and the terms and conditions. When you're taking a facility and then you've got these terms and conditions and you're looking at all those tiny stuff and you're feeling that this is too much work. All I needed is for them to give me 2M and they're giving me 2M. So you never look at the cost of that loan. You don't look at all the nitty-gritty that is there. Then you come and you sign, I accept. I do is a signature to terms and conditions.
You need to understand those terms and conditions.
And there are very many and they're very tiny. That's why we are skipping that. Right. That's why we feel like, that's too much work. But once you said I do, now when you want to get out, then you realize you can't get out. This was me. I was never making for you chapatis even when...
I know. When you are dating.
Oh my God. This is Legrand. Legrand is making it happen.